Every summer there's one thing that I look forward to, the Indiana State Fair. I always dream about going to the Blue Ribbon Pavilion and walking in the cool barn that has the green gates and the bass sounds that you hear when the animals are there. I always look forward to this. Unfortunately, I am not allowed to show there anymore because I've been there 10 years, and I was fortunate to have 10 years of showing there at the State Fair. I have many dreams that I accomplished there. The hard work that I put in that summer was directed toward accomplishing my goals at the State Fair, and I'm proud of my work for that. Recently, there have been a lot of controversy around the State Fair and the sheep show at the State Fair. There have been multiple cases of drug testing where the tests were negative, but there were also those few where there were positive drug tests where they failed the drug test. This is becoming a recurring theme in the industry, and the most common type of drug testing is urine testing, which is fairly simple and what it sounds like. After the show, after a high placing animal wins its class or places in the top 3 typically, they will be followed by an official that will have either a cup or a strap that would catch the urine as the animal urinates. This is quite typical in most shows. It is generally the easiest way to test lambs to see if they have been put towards drugs. This is typical, again, at these shows. It is easy because you can quickly find out whether an animal tests positive or negative for the certain test that you were submitting it for. Recently, there have been multiple lambs, the ones that have tested positive, have tested for Zelmax and Depomedrol, which are very common illegal enhancing steroids that have been used recently. This is, again, they're steroids. They're not supposed to be in the animal, and this is illegally making these animals better. They are submitting them to enhancing drugs that will either make them move better or make them have more muscle mass, which is not making it fair for everyone else. They're illegally doing this, which is not following the rules set out by the FDA, and if these animals are submitted to the food chain, they will not be passed. They will not make it through the food chain, and it is a potential harm for humans if they would happen to come upon this meat and eat it. This past year at the State Fair, there were only 2 animals that tested positive for an illegal substance in their body, which, 2 sounds like it's not a lot, but it is still a lot because there should be no animals that have illegal substances in them. Now, the year before, in 2014, there were 6 animals at the State Fair that placed in the top, or that were tested, that failed the drug test. These people were either using illegal drugs or feeding supplements, which they're not supposed to be using, and this made them either not show or they lost their money. One specific drug that was found in the animal's urine was the Depomedrol, which is not allowed in sheep, but it is used for horses and dogs and cats, but it is not allowed for sheep. New tests at the Indiana State Fair found these drugs and have punished the people that were caught using them. There's no place in the industry for the use of drugs. But I wanted to know what the thoughts were of a breeder on these drugs. And here's my father, who raises sheep, and here's his response to when I asked him what his thoughts were on drug testing.
Well, I think depending on the certain drug you're looking for, urine test can be a good first indicator whether further tests need to be run, such as tissue samples, that can be more definitive as far as what the drugs may be.
I then wanted to know if he felt that this testing and the usage of these illegal enhancing drugs was having any effect on the sale of any animals.
Well, I think within the 4-H program, certain people, feel like that if they don't have a equal playing field, that it deters some from wanting to show animals, and of course, as a breeder, it causes us to sell less animals to 4-H people for projects within the state.
This is pushing people away from the industry. I know that when I was a child, I had the best memories going to shows and being with animals. And I am, it's unfortunate that there are people that are not able to experience what I was able to experience and that are just being pushed away because of these certain people that are using drugs illegally and not caring about what effects it is having on the industry. I then wanted to know what his thoughts were or what the repercussions for testing positive for tests were.
Well, depending on the governing body, I mean, I think it's up to them of how the rules state. I mean, some state that it's disqualification. Some take the prize money. Of course, I think almost all the time. Some have future bans for that individual or their families, depending on how the rules state in each organization or governing body of those shows.
To me, I think that the sheep industry is becoming too popular for its own good. Nowadays, there are too many people coming into the industry that are not familiar with sheep, that have been successful with other animals, that are coming in and expecting to do good, and when that first year goes by and they don't, they feel the need that they should illegally tamper with these animals just to make them better so that they can place better, which I see no place for that in the industry. And I know that there are many other people that feel the same way. My father is a perfect example. He was not given the opportunity that I was, and I'm fortunate for that. He had to work very hard to get the animals that he wanted, and he typically were not able to have very good animals. And as he became older and was able to use his money more wisely, he was able to purchase animals that were had the positive aspects that we were looking for, and has worked hard to create animals that are positive, that are good, and that are clean. I believe that he is a perfect example of who I want to be when I get older, and he is the epitome of a good breeder. So, what are my thoughts? Everybody in the industry needs to just take a step back and view their actions from a different standpoint. Everything that you do can be critiqued and should be critiqued by yourself. You should look back on your actions and see what you could have done better, what you could have not done, what you could have ethically done that would make it fair for everyone else, which is something that these people that are using these illegal drugs are not doing. This is something that I feel is necessary, and the industry has come a long way in the last 20 years. And if ethics and fairness are brought to the forefront and focused on, this industry will continue to trend in the positive direction. I believe that these illegal actions will, in a way, bring positive to the industry. I know that it is negative right now, but this will be something that will be looked at in the future and be looked back on and say, hey, we should not be doing this and we should get away from this, because it will bring upon negative effects and bring upon negative parts for the industry. We need to bring back people that have been pushed away from the industry because of the use of drugs. We need to show them that no people are using these in the future. That no people are using drugs to enhance their animals, so that there's an even playing field, so that everyone has a chance to do well. It needs to happen, and for the industry to grow, it has to happen. Just like in any sport, it is impossible to completely remove cheating from anything. Everyone wants a competitive advantage, but they compromise the rules and the potential health of that animal. We have to deter people from cheating. Everyone needs to realize that there's a bigger picture. There's a bigger picture that everyone has to just step back and look at and realize that it is not as important as the health of the animal or the ethics that are used. It needs to be focused on. Everything we do shows what kind of person we are. Do you want to be known as a cheater?